We had three closeout game opportunities today, and all the three teams took it. The Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks, and the Philadelphia 76ers, whom we were hoping would lose, but they qualified. The Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns both played out really close games. The Mavs actually got lucky in the end because Bogdanovic bricked actually an open three-pointer. I thought that was going in, and that would have gone to Game 7. Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul, historical night, 14 out of 14, perfect day of the field for him. After all the criticism he got, I think it was kind of expected and incoming. Let's talk about all of these games and what to look forward to in round 2, because the Phoenix Suns play the Dallas Mavericks. That's going to be a fun matchup. Okay, let's start off with the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavs. Chris Paul, historic night, like I said, 14 out of 14 from the field. This is the highest in playoff history where a player has made this many field goals without even missing one, and highest points made without missing a field goal and without taking a free throw either. 33 points. This was kind of expected, wasn't it? After all the blame he got on the previous game, and they called him an old man and he can't play 2 games back to back and whatnot. This was kind of expected. And then I think the return of Booker was pretty average, but the return of him meant that Chris Paul is not getting all of the defensive attention, which kind of allowed him to explode like this, because Booker had to take away some of that. You can't leave Booker open. And Booker made a very important 3-pointer at the end as well. I think with 2 minutes left on the clock, when the game was super close. Did you expect this Chris Paul performance?
Yeah, I mean, not the 14 out of 14 part, but
never been done before.
Absolutely. Big game closeout, Chris Paul. With Booker back, we were talking about maybe Pels have a shot if Booker's out. But with Booker back, he didn't even need to do a whole lot. I think they took a deliberately conservative approach. With Booker, he was jacking up more threes than he normally does. Not too physically taxing, I guess, was the game plan. But it works. It works it works in the same way it worked for Brooklyn last season when they put Harden out. He could barely stand. But just Harden on the court means that Milwaukee has to commit a good defender there, and more opportunities for KD and Harrison, the other shooters that they have. It worked. So the same thing worked. Booker took away some of the defensive attention, which was almost exclusively dedicated to Chris Paul earlier. It helps also that in the previous game, Bridges came up big on points, and so he started meriting some of that off the ball movement, tracking attention. All of this worked out in Chris Paul's favor. He smells blood. He goes in. I think that's been the Chris Paul, at least that we know, for the past decade or so almost, and that's pretty much what the Lakers were betting on when they made a run for bringing Chris Paul in. For sure we expected a big game. I certainly did, but not 14 out of 14. Great closeout though. I think Pelicans now finally can go to Cancun and stop responding to questions around why they refuse to field Zion while he's doing between the legs dunks in practice and all that. It's a tricky situation. What can they do? I mean, 90% of the time he's unwell, and when he's fit, it's almost at a point in the season where it makes no sense to play him and risk another 3 months of layoffs. So good for them.
He was supposed to miss the start of the season, if you remember.
Yeah, exactly.
And got extended to he'll miss 2 more months, then he'll miss 2 more months, and the season's over and he didn't play a single minute. So, but got to give credit to the Pelicans. If you remember, they started off the series with this season with 1 win and 12 losses.
Oh, absolutely.
To come back from there, take the 9th spot, in fact, win 2 play-in games, in fact, knock out the Clippers. That was a surprise. And then push the Suns to game 6. I think they can be proud of their performance. They unearthed 3 rookies in this series. Or probably at the second half of the season, you could call it. Herb Jones has been a revelation. I think he's one of the best defenders already in the league. Jose Alvarado, however you pronounce his name. He's here to stay. I mean,
he's there, Bridges. That's exactly the kind of annoying, never goes away, keep swiping.
Pat Beverly, I would say.
Yeah, some nice
version of Pat Beverly.
More skill.
Yeah, and there's Trey Murphy, who's knocking down threes with ease, and then you have Brandon Ingram. I think he's jumped another level this season. He's been
every year there. Now.
Every year, exactly. He won the most improved player for a reason, right? Or at least he was the finalist. He did win the award.
Yeah. Unlike Ja Morant, he won it for a reason. Yes.
Yeah, and I think a great trade with CJ McCollum. They didn't really give out much when they got in CJ McCollum. Yeah, that's a great trade. And if Zion Williamson comes back, that's a big if. But this looks like a very promising unit. And let's not forget, Pelicans have a whole lot of draft picks.
Yeah.
After OKC, I think they have the most draft picks in the next few years.
Yeah, so thanks, AD. Thanks, man.
This is a team that can really be excited about their future. I think they have a nice bunch of young players.
Yeah, for sure. For sure,
I'm
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what the Pelicans can do with all of the draft picks and the roster they have assembled so far. A lot of exciting talent.
Yeah, I just want to see what they do with Zion coming back into the team, how they integrate. So far, he's been super unselfish, but once he starts performing, the brands are going to come. He's the hottest property since LeBron for marketers. So would he still be the unselfish, everyone likes him, Mr. Nice Guy, that he's been on court so far for them? If not, then how do they integrate? There's a lot of potent opportunities there for them. So it'll take a good coach to figure it out. I think they have a good one. So far, so good for the coach. This will be a very, very nice challenge for him to establish himself. The alternative, of course, is if they're willing to move some talent to get something in return, maybe build a squad for the now. Very intriguing dilemma between Ingram and Zion. I honestly, I would keep Ingram. I'd keep Ingram because he's proven himself. He's been loyal to the franchise, etc., etc. Plus, you get the world in return for Zion. You might not get anywhere close for Ingram. But that's if it doesn't work out. Their plan one is always to make it work out with Zion, and they're all so young. They could easily give this 2 years before they even take a call, right? And that's a good enough runway. I'm excited for this franchise.
Yeah, and if you remember at the start of the season, there are a lot of rumors about how Zion did not want to stay in New Orleans because they're not a winning franchise. I think all of that could be squashed now because they are a winning franchise. You make the playoffs, give the top seed a run for the money. I think that's kind of proven that they're here to stay. So I don't think that should be a lack of motivation for him now to come back fit if possible.
Yeah, and the role players, they've discovered so many role players now. It's usually an entire offseason is spent figuring out these kind of acquisitions. Your Pat Bevs and your senior Rondos and stuff. They might not have experience, but they have all of these skills.
Agreed, totally. Phoenix Sun, meanwhile, move on to the second round. They will face Dallas Mavericks, who barely made it. They won in 6, but this game was very close. I think Bogdanovic should have made that 3. It mostly goes in, sometimes doesn't go in such an open look. But the Mavs, to be honest, this entire series, they've cooked the Jazz. I don't think the Jazz really were in with a chance. They've exploited their weakness. It's 3 years in a row now that the Jazz weakness have been exploited, first by Jamal Murray, last season by Terrence Mann, if you can believe that, and this season by Maxi Kleber at the start of the series, where they were just
Brunson, Kleber, just
these are players that should not be winning series. They could win an odd game here and there, but they were like difference makers in these series. And when you have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and Bogdanovic and Conley, these are good players who can win you series. This team should be at least going to the second round every year. Unfortunately, not happening this year.
What I said before the playoffs. Easiest prediction of the entire playoffs.
All of it. In fact, we predicted it in 5. Just lucky that the Jazz took it to 6. Do you see the Jazz team coming back, or do you think it's going to be a new look team next season onwards? Because it's 3 seasons now that they've reached this spot, playoffs, and then teams know how to tackle them in playoffs. You just drag Gobert out of the paint and then you shoot threes and you win it. It seems to be a winning formula for now.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think you can. This isn't necessarily assigning blame. Typically, the tendency is when there are 2 superstars, one of them's at fault.
Yep.
It's not really the case. I think Donovan Mitchell is still ascending. I don't think he has quite, I've said this before, I don't think he's quite in that same mold yet. Jamal Murray had one good postseason, but he clinched a couple of very big series in that good postseason. So he's kind of at least proven it once, and now it's, can you repeat? It's sort of like a Trae Young kind of question for him now. But with Donovan Mitchell, he's just not there yet. He's that level of a player. He's just not figured out how to clinch series and how to get over the hump. Maybe he will, but he's not there yet. So that's one. And 2, Gobert, he's never going to be the guy that clinches a series for you. He will protect the paint. He will offer something at one end of the floor, but at the other end, it's got to be your offense that wins. So Gobert is not quite that kind of superstar. In that sense, in the way that probably Bam is for Miami, he can have an impact both ends of the floor. He's sort of like a young Kawhi. Gobert's not that guy. So it's just a function of the kind of squad that they have. I think the coach has overachieved. I think the squad has overachieved. I not underachieved. I really mean this when I say they've overachieved. And I think this is as good as it gets. This last 3 years run. So just functionally, they've got to break it up. I strongly believe they need to send Gobert to the Lakers. I think that will give them good karma to, But yeah, I think it'll be a broken up. I'll be extremely surprised if I see at least Donovan Mitchell and Gobert return for the Jazz. That'll be quite something.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's about time. 3 years is as much time as you could give, like, for a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
And they could not get over the hump. So I don't think this duo is going to return. Mavs versus Phoenix Suns. That's going to be an interesting series. You see this going deep. This is going to 6-7, or the Suns are strong and you don't see
Suns are strong, but I won't write out the Mavs. I think 6 games is a very realistic outcome. I don't know if they can take it to Game 7. I would be shocked if the Mavs clinch this series, but I think they can give a good run for the Suns money.
So regular season, the Phoenix Suns have won all the 3 games against the Mavs.
Yeah.
But fun story, the Mavs led at the end of third quarter in all of those 3 games. Luka didn't play 2 of them, so not really to say, can't really assign too much importance to that. But I think it's going to be a tough series. They can't really exploit how they did for Gobert in the series, right? Ayton is not like Gobert. I think he's more mobile. Like he's comfortable outside the paint as well. Plus, he's more lethal offensively than Gobert is. So I don't think it's going to be that easy.
Yeah, but Ayton's nowhere close to being the defender that Gobert is also. So that's a bit of a toss up there with him. It's going to be a rebounds battle. Whoever wins that wins it, and there actually Dallas have the slight edge. So it's going to be an interesting series. But I think Phoenix have enough offensive firepower to pull through. It's not. I don't believe their defense is the difference maker here. I think they have enough on offense to pull through. Chris Paul can match Luka on playmaking even in the clutch, and the Mavs don't have a Devin Booker. That's a big gap.
Right. It's just Luka. I mean, Dinwiddie is not Devin Booker's level, so
not as Brunson.
Yeah. But the stage is set for Luka to take that leap. If they can overcome the Phoenix Suns, I think then you will be talking about Luka as
one of the top 10. Yeah.
Like you put him in that category where currently Ja Morant is probably, because he had an amazing regular season, and Luka literally had a great regular season in the later part, right? So if he can be the Phoenix Suns, I think he's going to elevate himself above the Ja Morant hype as well.
For sure, because he's proven in the postseason. Ja Morant has to achieve that. And that's the only reason why currently I place Trae Young ahead of Luka, even though I believe Luka's the much better talent of the two.
Of course.
Trae Young went to the Eastern Finals. That's no fluke. They knocked 76ers out. They took Bucks to Game 6, even without Giannis, but they took Bucks to Game 6. We've got to do that to be at that level.
Agreed. With that, we have 7 teams in the second round. Just one series pending: Memphis versus Minnesota. Game 6 is tomorrow. That's the only game tomorrow and Saturday. In fact, there's no game on Saturday. So light weekend coming ahead for us. You expect this to go to 7?
I want it to go to 7. It very well can. There's nothing separating these two teams that's so good that it's one team for sure. There are plenty of mistakes. So far, it's been whoever's made more mistakes has lost the match. So maybe expect a little more of that. It's almost like it's college basketball. It's not one and done. That's kind of how it is.
Agreed. Yeah, Minnesota should have closed the series. They led one game by 25 points. They led the other game by 15. So they should have closed the series out by now. And they have themselves to blame, I think, for letting it get to the stage. But that's something that I'll be watching. That's the only game over the next 2 days. Looking forward to Sunday, where the Bucks play the Celtics. That's going to be the real matchup for the weekend, I would say. But that's all on today's episode. I'll come back and catch up next week. We'll have probably the Bucks and Celtics to talk about when we catch up on Monday.
Absolutely. All right. Cheers, man.
Bye. See you. Bye.